Good morning, Year 5. Today we're going to be using La Luna as a stimulus to your writing, as we have done this week already. And we are going to be writing a poem today about the moon. So, the first thing I would like you to do is go and watch the La Luna video again. It will be on your home learning page. And I would like you to specifically focus on the part where the moon rises and it is in the sky, okay? So, hopefully you've done that now, and we are going to move on to our first task. So, your first task is going to make a bank of vocabulary. You are going to do yours based on the moon. However, I'm going to do mine based on a sunset. Okay? So, I'm going to think about what I can see first. So, the things I can see is the sky looks like fire. So, it's got the colours of fire. So, in my poem, I could include this to be a simile. I can also see beams, and I'm going to make that into alliteration and put bright beams. Okay, so I might want to use that as well. I can see there are some mountains, and it appears that the sun is going behind them. I'm going to use the word dipping. They are dipping behind the mountains. Okay, like that. And also, if I was stood, and I'm going to imagine that I was stood here watching the sunset, and there might be other people around me, okay? So I might see people huddled because it might be cold. So huddle means when you get close to people to keep warm, okay? When we learnt about the Frozen Kingdom, we learnt that penguins huddle together to keep warm. You might remember that, okay? Then I'm going to think about what might I be able to hear. Well, I can see there's a forest here, so I might be able to hear some birds. The birds could be chirping, or they could be singing. Okay, so I'm going to just put a few ideas off the word bird, so you might want to do like this too. So they might be singing, they might be chatting. Okay, it could be harmonious. Could be harmonious singing. Okay, so that means that they're all in tune together. They could be like a choir, so that means that lots of people usually are singing together. But in this case, we could have the birds as a choir. Okay, we might also hear the people that we talked about huddling. We might hear them chatting, so we might hear people chatting. Or comforting someone. Okay. What else might we hear? The birds might be wild birds, okay? Well, they're probably going to be wild if they're in a forest. Okay, so that's what I would like you to do. I want you to think about how you would do that. I want you to think about how those people that were stood here were feeling as well, because in the video you've got the boy, what seems to be his dad and what seems to be his granddad. So try and get some of those feelings in there as well, okay? So when I put comforting here, could it be a mother comforting her child? Possibly, okay? So that is your first task. I want you to create a bank of vocabulary and come up with some ideas on what you would like to include in your poem. So vocabulary / ideas, okay? So I've done a bit of both here. So that is your first task, but you are doing it based on the moon. So you could use this photo here to help you. But remember, your main focus is going to be the video. Okay? Then the next task that you have is to write the poem. So you need to give your poem a name first. So you might call it the moon, or you might call it something else, but something that represents the moon. So I'm going to call mine simply the sunset. Okay? Simple as that. Then I'm going to write 3 short stanzas. Okay, so a stanza is like a verse. So I'm going to start off by using as the sun begins to set, so I'm talking about what's happening in my photo, the sky begins to glow. Okay? Families, so remember those people I said that were stood down by these trees here, could be families. Huddle, so that's some of my vocabulary that I put on my mind map. Huddle close. Waiting for it to go. And that's my first verse, okay? Now I'm going to move on to my second verse. Dipping, so that was some of the vocabulary I put on my map. Dipping behind the mountains, so that's a Year 5 Standards of a prepositional phrase. The sky turned to fire, so I've used a metaphor there. That's what we talked about on Monday. The sky didn't actually turn to fire, it just looks like fire because of the red and orange colours. While the wild birds, so that's an expanded noun phrase, the wild birds became a harmonious, so that was one of the words on my vocabulary, my map, become a harmonious choir, so that's another expanded noun phrase. That's my second verse. And then I'm going to move on to my final verse. Out of sight, so I've got a fronted adverbial. The bright beams, expanded noun phrase, disappear. And then I'm going to get the mother to comfort someone. So a family that was stood here, there's a mother and a child, and the mother is going to say, a mother says, don't worry. Oh, I need my comma there. Don't worry. Another day is near. Okay. And I am done. So you can see I've got 3 short stanzas. Each stanza has only actually got 2 sentences in it, but they are extended sentences. And my stanzas rhyme, okay? So the end of each sentence rhymes. So I've got rhyming couplets, haven't I? Okay? So let's read it. So the sunset. As the sun begins to set, the sky begins to glow. Families huddle close, waiting for it to go. Dipping behind the mountains, the sky turned to fire, while the wild birds become a harmonious choir. Out of sight, the bright beams disappear, and Mother says, don't worry, another day is near. Okay? So yours can rhyme if you want it to rhyme. However, if you struggle with that, you could do it how we did it when we did Harry Potter, and you could just do it as a descriptive poem. However, you could have a go at making it rhyme. Remember, you can use the website RhymeZone to help you find rhyming words. I think it's rhymezone.co.uk. Okay. Also, there is a website Descriptionary to help you with your descriptions of the moon. So if you write Descriptionary into Google, and then once you're on there, you can type in moon or moonlight, and it will come up with some ideas for you to include in your poem. Okay, so that is your task. Task 2, write your own poem about the moon. If you need any help with anything, please contact Mrs. Willis and I, and we will get back to you as soon as we can.